Ooh, 5-hour energy. So you can get energized resolve, as if the world needs that. To your health. It tastes like rage. I'm alive! Okay, in this video, I'm going to give you the single best advice to get the best sound quality in anything ever. And yes, it is EQ. And I'm expecting all of you guys who hate EQ and hate that I said that to get extremely fired up in the comments. Go just write it all out. Just get it all out there right now. All these high-end audiophile headphones that generally perform well for various different qualities, whether we're talking frequency response or harmonic distortion, they can all be improved. They can all be made better. And that's being demonstrated in practice with headphones like the Odyssey Maxwell, because that actually uses digital signal processing. It is an active headphone, and the digital signal processing shows what's possible for the tuning when you have a system that can be affected in that way. Now, with other headphones that are being run just with an analog signal that you hook up to an amplifier and then that runs to your DAC, you have to be the one who does that. You have to be the one who makes the adjustments. And we can literally spend thousands of dollars chasing the dragon when maybe all we ever wanted was a bass boost, or maybe all we ever wanted was a little bit more treble. You get the idea. It's worth understanding how these things can be improved, even if you do want to continue chasing the dragon. And if you just listen to people like me saying, this headphone is great, or that headphone is great, or that headphone is terrible, it's not really going to necessarily be reflective of which segment you fall into. And so it is absolutely worth diving into EQ and at least figuring out what it is that you like. And if you don't like it, if it turns out that, hey, this isn't for you, if you feel that it ruins your technicalities, then you can just turn it off. It is free. EQ is free. Now, as an example, I recently did a review of the Sennheiser HD600. Check out that review if you haven't already. But the point there is that that headphone measures extremely well for the mids and for the treble. Its main deficiency is in the bass, or I guess it's over here, the bass. And I think we can confidently, label that headphone as good mid-fi. It's reasonably high-end, but it is still affordable at around $300 if you can find it on sale. And in that video, I told you, it doesn't really take that well to a massive bass shelf or a bass boost with EQ, because that's where you get into harmonic distortion territory. But you can still do a little bit. While you're not going to be able to give it a massive bass boost like you would with an Odyssey headphone, you can still give it a little bit, enough where it's going to be perceptually relevant, and it'll transform this $300 mid-fi headphone into something that competes with headphones that cost significantly more. Similarly, you can do the same thing with the Hi-Fi Man Sundara, another mid-fi headphone that performs well generally, but has a deficiency in one area or another. Let's say you want to fill in the mids a little bit. That's just the one little filter that you can do. Or maybe you want to do that and add a little bit of extra bass to the Edition XS. You can do the same thing. There are very few things that you would actually need to adjust there. And if you look at the measurements for high-end headphones, they don't generally tend to be that much better than what you get in mid-fi. There are other advantages. Maybe there are more specific advantages that are going to fit better for one segment than they will for another. This is part of chasing the dragon. But the point is, you can still EQ these mid-fi headphones and have them perform extremely well. You can even cater them to the specific niche kind of sound that you may like. You can spend thousands of dollars in this industry and still not find something that's going to sound as good as a Sundara or an HD600 with EQ, or an Odyssey whatever with EQ. I know that those are more high-end, but you get the point. Now, there is, of course, a big limitation to EQ, a major limitation to EQ. And that's, of course, time, especially if you're out somewhere like at the beach, like I am right now, suffering. You can technically figure out a way to do EQ in all kinds of various different scenarios, but time is really the thing that you're fighting against there. This is the Elix 5K, and this is the other best value thing in audio, at least that I can think of. This is essentially a Bluetooth dongle that has full parametric EQ built into the software. And while it can't run every headphone out there, it can certainly run most of them. And the other crazy thing here is that this has the audio EQ presets for so many different headphones. And there are actually good reasons not to use those presets, because you don't actually know how something's going to perform on your head compared to the measurement rig that the measurement was taken on and that the EQ profile was developed for. But at the same time, you can definitely use these as a starting point. And this is where it really helps with that time problem. It's not that this does anything that you couldn't already do for free using Equalizer APO or potentially other types of software or apps. It's that it makes it so that you don't have to spend all that crazy amount of time doing it. If all of this sounds super daunting and like a difficult thing, and you care more about making things very easy for you so you can just dive right into listening to your music and making it sound the best, strive to find headphones where your EQ process is as easy as possible. And then just do that. Leave everything else as is because you don't have a measurement rig. You don't have in-ear microphones, and just make extremely wideband adjustments. So we're talking shelf filters or, wide peak filters. You get the idea. You don't want to bother doing extremely precise, fine-grained little cuts and little dips and peaks and just perfectly evening it out. You should start with a headphone where the adjustments that you need to make with EQ are the easiest adjustments you will ever need to do. Just a little bit of extra bass, a little bit of extra treble, whatever. So if you are looking for an EQ tutorial on how to do this, on how to, navigate this whole EQ topic, you want to give it a shot. I've done a whole video on this, and that is linked in the description to give you basic guidelines. It's the full setup process. And again, as I mentioned, try this with headphones where you don't need to do too much, just so you can understand what the performance improvements are by doing very small adjustments, very subtle adjustments. And I think it's also just fun to see how adjusting different ranges affects your music, affects the music that you like to listen to. Because sometimes you just don't know until you hear it. You don't know if you like it until you try it. So really, it is the easiest, best value thing that you can do in audio. And that is the end of my energy-fueled rant for this week. Maybe I'll do another one. Maybe this will be a series. I should probably see if I can get sponsored by 5 Hour Energy. Regardless, if you're interested in any of our written material, check out the audio files up on headphones.com. You'll actually be able to see my wall of fame there, which is a new thing, a new feature. Check that out. Let me know what you think. And there's a little bit of extra info there on how I think about EQ, where I talk a little bit about some of the limitations as well and what else to be mindful of, but that's all in the description below. Also, check out our forum and our Discord. That's where you'll be able to argue with me about all kinds of things. Tell me that I'm wrong about various different things, like EQ is the devil, etc., etc. Make sure you guys do that in the comments if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.